What happens when living forever just isn't enough anymore? We're going to talk about an immortal who got so sick of his own solitude that he decided to become the biggest rock star on the planet, shattering every single rule his kind had ever known.
And that quote, right there, it gets to the absolute heart of this. This is the story of the vampire Lestat. We're talking about a being whose crushing loneliness, after centuries hiding in the shadows, just drives him to this incredible act of rebellion, all for a taste of the spotlight.
So, how does a rebellion like this even start? Well, after a 100-year nap, Lestat wakes up and the world has completely changed. He sees rock stars, and they're not just famous, they're worshipped like gods. And in that moment, something inside him snaps. He doesn't want to watch from the wings anymore. He wants to be on that stage.
I mean, this was the choice he was facing, right? On one hand, you've got the life he's always known. Lonely, secret, always in the dark. But on the other, the life of a rock god, adored by millions, never, ever alone. For a being that's just starved for any kind of connection, well, it wasn't much of a choice at all.
And with that one simple sentence, everything changes. He literally walks up to a bunch of mortal musicians, tells them what he is, and boom, there's banned. Just like that, centuries of vampire law are completely shattered, and he doesn't even think twice about it.
But he doesn't just stop at forming a band. No. He holds a press conference. He uses his newfound fame to openly taunt the entire vampire world. He announces this one massive, one-night-only concert in Death Valley. It's basically an invitation and a threat all rolled into one, daring every other vampire to come out and try to stop him.
Of course, a rebellion this loud, it's gonna have consequences he never saw coming. His music, you see, it's infused with all his ancient knowledge, his supernatural power. It's like a signal that travels across the globe, and it starts to stir something that has been silent for thousands of years.
And this is where we meet the story's secret observers, the Talamasca. You can think of them as, scholars of the supernatural. They've been watching and writing everything down for centuries, but their #1 rule is you don't interfere. And one of their best apprentices, a woman named Jessie, becomes completely obsessed with Lestat's very public coming-out party.
So Jessie starts digging, and it all begins with one lyric. Lestat mentions a pub, the Admiral's Arms. She does her homework and traces it back to the 17th century London dive, known for black magic. And what does she find? The very same spot is now a secret underground nightclub for vampires. And this is when her mentor, David, drops a bombshell. The Talamasca has Lestat's private journal, and inside is the key to this whole puzzle. Lestat was made by a much older and more powerful vampire named Marius, a guy they've been trying to track for centuries. And in that journal, we learn the 3 big rules that Marius taught him. The Vampire 101, Appreciate your prey, never take the last drop of blood, and the most important one, stay hidden. These are the sacred laws that Lestat is now, gleefully smashing on a global stage.
This really boils down the conflict between the master and his student. You have Marius, who preaches secrecy as the only way to survive. And then you have Lestat, who's basically shouting, "Why should we hide? We're gods compared to them." He genuinely believes he was meant for so much more than just lurking in the shadows.
But the journal reveals Lestat's most dangerous secret of all, his little run-in with Akasha, the queen of all vampires. He stumbled upon her as this living statue, and in a moment of pure arrogance, he drank her blood, stealing a piece of her incredible power. That one act, that's the source of his new strength.
Which brings us crashing right back to the present day. Marius appears, and he's terrified. He warns Lestat, "Your music didn't just stir her, it woke her up. She's awake, she's destroyed her king, and she's absorbed all his power. Now, she's coming for Lestat." So everything is now headed for one single place, Death Valley. The stage is set for Lestat's concert, and it's become a beacon for 3 very different groups. His mortal fans, all the other vampires who want him dead, and now, the newly awakened, all-powerful Queen Akasha. So as the lights go down and the guitar starts screaming, you have to ask yourself, what in the world happens when you throw a party and you invite every vampire on the planet?
especially when most of them showed up hoping to kill you.
And in this moment, you finally understand what's really driving him. It's not just arrogance. As he walks out on that stage, he knows he might not walk off, but he just doesn't care. To him, a spectacular death in front of the whole world is so much better than an eternity spent all alone.
The concert just explodes into total chaos. Other vampires attack him on stage, and then Akasha descends from the sky. She obliterates them, grabs Lestat, and announces her terrifying new plan to the world. Humans are food, the world is their garden, and Lestat will be her king. Her message couldn't be simpler: join me or die.
So with Akasha now on a global killing spree, the final act kicks off. The remaining ancient vampires, these masters of secrecy, they realize they can't hide anymore. They have to band together to stop the very queen they used to worship. So here are the key players in this final, desperate showdown. You've got Akasha, who wants total domination. You have Marius, fighting just to preserve their kind's secrets. And you have Maharet, an ancient, who's trying to protect her human descendants. Talk about an uneasy alliance.
And then Maharet reveals the awful catch. Because all vampires are linked to Akasha's blood, they can't just kill her. The plan is for all of them to drink her blood to weaken her. But the one who takes that final lethal drop will absorb her death and instantly perish. It's a suicide mission.
The ancients attack, and honestly, they're getting destroyed. But then Lestat makes his move. He pretends to accept Akasha's offer to be her king. He gets close, and then he drinks her blood, weakening her dramatically. And that gives Maharet the one tiny opening she needs to rush in, take the final drop, and destroy Akasha, becoming the new, dormant queen herself.
And in the aftermath, after all the chaos, Lestat finally gets the one thing he craved all along. And it wasn't fame. It was companionship. He saves the dying Jessie by making her a vampire, making sure he'll never be alone again. And the two of them, along with Marius, just walk off into a new future.
But before they vanish, they return Lestat's journal to the Talamasco observer, David. They even offer him immortality, but his answer is the perfect contrast to Lestat's entire journey. He says, "I'm too old to live forever." He understands that a finite human life is a gift, not a curse. And that brings us right back to where we started. Lestat's whole insane rebellion wasn't about the music or the fame. It was a desperate, world-shattering scream against loneliness. He tore everything apart just to find one person to share it with. Which leaves us with a final question. After all that destruction, was it worth it? Is immortality a gift if you finally have someone to spend it with?